All right, crypto bros, I'm going to tell you why I don't think the price is recovering in the next 4 months. And it actually has a lot to do with like how crypto moves. Now, in crypto, you have a couple of things that affect it. There's the macroeconomic factors, geopolitical factors, and then you have narrative. Yeah, don't get me with the utility and partnership stuff. That shit stuff has almost never actually affected price, except by like a small FOMO. And that generally requires for the market to be going up overall to have like a huge effect. And if the market doesn't turn around, that generally does not work. So basically, the macro and the geopolitical factors like suck right now. But what's been keeping us going somewhat is the narratives. Now, the narrative first, Trump is going to win the election, and then he's essentially going to moon crypto with all these regulations. The Trump stuff has happened, the regulation stuff has happened, and the thing is, we went up to 108 and now we're down. He even gave us the crypto strategic reserve, and that didn't even manage to pull us back up. And that's something that's been talked about forever and ever. The SEC has also rescinded all their cases, including the XRP one now. And if you'll notice, that XRP already had its pump basically when Gary Gensler stepped down because everyone was already expecting the case to be rescinded. Now that it is, it didn't really pump all that much when it was rescinded. And that's because we're on a downward macro slope right now. So that didn't really have the effect that people wanted it to have. Also, like after the crypto strategic reserve, there was this summit that was yesterday and Trump made a speech, but that didn't really make an impact because he didn't actually like say anything new. He said, yeah, we're going to be like the world leader in crypto. Yeah, I want stablecoin bills, but that's not things that would actually pump the crypto. And we did get a pump from the FOMC meeting, but the problem is that's not much of a narrative because the FOMC meeting wasn't really that bullish in the first place. Even though Jerome Powell confirmed that we will probably get 2 rate cuts this year, that was kind of already the thing in December. So there was really nothing new. And he actually said the economy was probably going to experience more inflation first before things got better. And then you have stuff coming out like the big short guy saying that these tariffs are actually going to hurt the economy more than people project. And the business leaders were being very optimistic about what effects they would actually have. Let's also not forget that on April 2nd, which unfortunately is my birthday, there's going to be a lot more tariffs that might actually kick in unless he delays them some more. And then Europe has said they're going to do counter tariffs in the middle of April. So the whole macro factor sucks. And now we just basically have a complete lack of narrative because we already got the SBR. What else is going to actually pump us up? What is he going to say? I know a lot of you are hoping that like he says, he's not going to do taxes for American-based crypto, but that was never Donald Trump. That was basically Eric Trump saying that. And we know that really doesn't account for all that much because no one really cares about what Eric Trump says. They care about what Donald Trump says. So if we're not getting that, and it looks like less and less likely we are as time goes on. And I'm not even really sure if that will have like a massive effect. People thought the strategic Bitcoin reserve would have a huge effect. That lasted for all of 1 day before we actually went down. And the FOMC meeting, we're kind of retracing that right now. And that wasn't really super bullish in the first place. So I think we'll lose that value over the weekend. It's just we are out of narratives to pump. We already got everything and the market is only this high. We got a pro-crypto president. He nominated like pro-crypto people to fill positions. We got the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Operation Choke Point 2.0 has been completely canceled. Like every domino has fallen in place, and yet we are still at 80,000 with the alt generally doing pretty bad. So the reason I don't think we're going to recover over the next 4 months is because we're completely out of narratives. The macro situation and the geopolitical situation, especially in the Middle East, still sucks, and I don't really see that turning around in 4 months. Maybe in 4 months we'll have a wash and things will actually be better, but I think that's the least amount of time it's going to take. The sell in May and go away thing may not actually work because the market may not actually be that high in May. You might want to sell anyways because it might go down further. But, if you're hoping to make a big profit by selling in May, that probably isn't going to happen because we're completely out of narratives. I don't really see what else is going to pump it. I mean, I guess he could pull a surprise and just like cut taxes for everyone under 150K, or like say like no taxes on American crypto or something, or maybe print a bunch of money and give us a stimulus. But I really see those as the only likely things. And none of those are very likely to happen. And I think investors know that none of those are very unlikely to happen. So I don't really see a big pump from here on out. We might have to wait for the May report and hope that Jerome Powell cuts rates, because Donald Trump did voice his displeasure at Powell not cutting rates this time. But if he force cuts rates, people are going to react badly to that as well. And you're seeing a lot of companies saying that they're not going to make projections or lowering their projections for this year. And that's going to make the stock market go down even more. And crypto will actually follow the stock market. So, you could actually have a lot of narratives counterbalance the macro policies. And we've had a lot of narratives in the first couple of months of Trump's presidency, but we've kind of used up all our ammo. And right now, we don't have any narratives, so I do think we are going to be going down. So, that's kind of like the narratives versus macro versus regulations, kind of like up and down. And macro is essentially winning out, and that basically has to do with tariffs and geopolitics a lot, and neither of those favor us. And without narratives, it could get pretty ugly over the summer. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.